And we are back here with another video today. Today we are looking at the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Greg Schiano now back in his 7th year at Rutgers, at least in his second stint, 18th year overall. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button down below as we release new videos every single day here at the Football Expert. My name is Reikley Ruby, and welcome to the Football Expert. Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Help me reach my goal of 6,600 subscribers by the end of July, and hit that like button if you enjoyed today's video. Comment your thoughts and opinions down below. As always, make sure that you let me know what you think Rutgers will do, and that's the most important thing. I'm building a community here of football fans here at the Football Expert, so let me know what your thoughts and opinions are. That's what makes these videos fun to do, what makes this channel a joy to have. So let's get into today's video. Rutgers, obviously a very interesting team, a team that is a very homegrown team. Looking at the rankings that Phil Steele has for homegrown, so I'm giving him the credit because I didn't do this. Number 1 in the conference in terms of homegrown talent in the Big Ten, number 6 in the country. One of the best teams when it comes to homegrown talent, and you see it in this roster. Outside of the quarterback position with bringing in Dylan Longren from BC, Antoine Raymond and KJ Duff, those guys that are big offensive contributors. And then you can look at the defensive side, Kai Sanders, Abram Wright. A lot of defensive pieces are homegrown. Those are just some of the starters from last year. But looking at this team, it is a very important team, or very important year for Rutgers, as last year was 7-5. The 2 years before that were 7-6, 7-6. And just looking to see, has Greg Schiano kind of hit the ceiling at what Rutgers can do now? Because obviously back in the early 2000s, Greg Schiano had this Rutgers team going bananas. Like, I think there was a year where the Rutgers went 11-1 or 11-2 or something. Like, Rutgers under Schiano has been better, but in 2026, is the ceiling for a Rutgers type program 7-6? Is that the ceiling? Because I don't feel like it's Schiano doing a bad job at Rutgers. In fact, I think he's done a good job. But let's get into the schedule specifically. First game of the season, Thursday night game against UMass. Excited to see a Thursday night game here, but easy win here for Rutgers. I don't think that they'll have any problems. I'm not sure the last time that they played UMass. It's been quite a while when I was doing some research for this video. But UMass, not a very good team, one of the worst teams in all of FBS, if not the worst team in FBS. So easy win there. Then a road game against Boston College, obviously, with what I said about the quarterback, will be an interesting game for him. And returning there at BC, there in Chestnut Hill. I have this as a win. I think that Rutgers is just the better, more talented team. I think Bill O'Brien is I don't think he's done a bad job at BC, but I just don't know if he can do a good job, at least from what like BC has done before. They don't have a good running back. Rutgers does. And I should say this, Antoine Raymond, like under top 5 most underrated college football backs in the country. Like he is severely underrated. Just to read off some of his stats from last year, 1,241 yards, 13 touchdowns, and average 5 yards a carry. That's impressive stuff, really impressive stuff, especially with not a horrible quarterback there behind center for Rutgers, but somebody that definitely does have isn't the best quarterback in the world. So I think that that's also important to look at. Does this run game continue to look better? And to keep Raymond at Rutgers was really one of the biggest coups so far this offseason, honestly. Him and the Iowa back, who I'm blanking on his name, but the Rutgers back and now this Iowa back as well, staying in their programs. I'm glad to see that happening. Then looking at this team, next game on the schedule, home game against USC. Even though USC is coming all the way across the country, I don't think that this is going to be a win here for Rutgers. I think that they lose this game. I just think that Rutgers does not have the offensive talent to be able to beat a high flying team like USC with a guy like Jada Mayava under center for USC. The defensive pieces are not elite, but neither are Rutgers pieces either, to be frankly honest. So I have this as a loss. Home game against Howard. Howard is terrible. They're not even a good FCS school. So easy win there for Rutgers. Homecoming against Indiana, a very interesting call to have that as the homecoming game. But I have this as a loss. Indiana is just a far superior team when it comes to talent. These two teams did not play last year or the year before. So this Indiana iteration of Indiana has not been around so far in the Greg Schiano tenure. So we'll see how they play against them. But I have that as a loss. Then a road game against Maryland. I see this as a win. Last year was able to beat Maryland, but it was more closer to the end of the season with Mike Loxley. 35-20 was the ending score of that one. So I could see this end up being a loss for Rutgers because Loxley is a lot. Loxby is better when he is or better at the earlier part of the season and then really struggles in the later part of the season. That's just been the story of him at Maryland. I don't know why, to be frankly honest. Like you should see the stats. First half of the season, second half of the season. Like Maryland is a top 25 team in the first half of the season. Back after the season, they're one of the worst teams in the Big Ten. So I have this as a win for Rutgers, but we'll see if they break the divide and able to get a win in that part of the season. Next game is a road game against Northwestern. I see this as a win. I think that Northwestern is just slightly less talented than Rutgers is. And honestly, this is just a game where I went with the team that I liked a little more. I just like where Rutgers is at a little more. I like where the coaching situation's at. I like where the program's at a little more. So it's these small things that give the advantage to Rutgers, but I could very much see a Northwestern win there as well. Then a home game against Michigan. Again, this is just Michigan is far more talented than Rutgers is. And to be able to beat Michigan, it is possible, but just incredibly unlikely. I just don't think that they have the talent. The last time that these two teams had met up, it was 52-17 was the final score in that one, obviously under the Jim Harbaugh era back in 2022. But yeah, no, there's just such a talent gap that maybe they have an upset there in Piscataway, but I just don't see it. Road game against Wisconsin. I think that this is a win. If you watch my Wisconsin prediction, I think that Wisconsin is a good team, or at least has the pieces to be a good team. But I just don't think Luke Fickell is going to work out at Wisconsin. I think that Wisconsin has just been, in terms of how they've played. So I think that they're able to get a win there. Third Big Ten road win, which is impressive because the Big Ten is not an easy place to get a road win. Then a home game against Nebraska. I have this as a loss once again. You can kind of start to see a theme. The hardest games are at home and the easier games are on the road, which I don't know whether that gives an advantage to Rutgers. If they're winning the games on the road, it gives an advantage to playing the harder games at home. But if you're not winning those games on the road and they're close games, it really stinks to have those games be on the road and have the toughest games against Michigan and Southern California and Indiana, and even against a team like Nebraska, who I just think is, even though they are pretty even, I feel like with where Rutgers is at, I think that the quarterback and the dynamic quarterback that Nebraska has in comparison to where the defense is for Rutgers, that just has some question marks at it, to be frankly honest. And I think even Rutgers fans, you guys would agree with me that there's just some question marks, not a lot of returning production at the defensive end specifically. What does the offensive line look like? There's a lot of new guys on the offensive line as well, especially in games like this. Then next, looking into it, road game against Penn State. I have this as a loss. I think that Penn State with Rocco Beck coming to town and Matt Campbell being able to bring a lot of guys from Iowa State is just going to be a tough matchup for Penn State. It's another one of the matchups like this one and Maryland, I think, are pretty similar in terms of maybe they win one and lose one. And if you want to convince me that they beat Penn State and they lose to Maryland, I would be you could convince me of that. I wouldn't be completely surprised, but I have that as a loss. Then a home game against Michigan State. I'm going to go with Pat Fitzgerald in this one, thinking that the momentum with Michigan State's going to carry them. I have them winning some of these games at the end. I think going on a 3-game win streak to end the season. So I think there's some momentum there if my prediction is right. But I could also see a win here for Rutgers. I think Rutgers could get to that point where they find the ability to get a win there and get over the hump of going 7-6. Obviously won 7 regular seasons in 2024, won 6 regular season games in 2023, won 5 in 2025. Like if you can get to 8 wins, like let's say you get that 7th win in the regular season, you beat Michigan State or you beat Penn State, you get an 8th win in a game, 8 wins at Rutgers. That would be the first time in I don't know how long. It would be a long time since Rutgers has gotten that. Let me know in the comments section what that last 8 season was. But as always, hit one of the 2 videos down below. I have a playlist of all of my college football predictions, so hit that down below. Check out another one and hit that subscribe button up here. We're approaching college football season, and the content does not end when it starts. Oh, it's just begun. And as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye, guys.